Today I want to teach you what supersets are, when you should completely avoid them, and when you should definitely be using them in your training. My name is Cody McBroom, and I am the founder and the head coach of both the Tailored Coaching Method and the Tailored Trainer. Today I want to go over the superset. This is something that so many people talk about and a lot of us use inside of our programs. But there's some times where you shouldn't be using this, and there's some times where people are confused as to whether it's actually beneficial or not. And I want to use the science and what research we have on supersets to teach you exactly what that is. So first and foremost, what is a superset? A superset, and there's multiple classifications which I'll go over here in a sec, but a general superset is pretty simple. You do 2 exercises back to back with minimal rest in between, and then you give yourself a rest and return back to the start before returning to a set. So instead of me doing 3 sets of 8 on a bench press, I'm going to do 1 set of 8, and then I'm going to follow that bench press up with a barbell bent row for another set of 8. Then I'm going to take a rest period, and I'm going to repeat that 3 rounds through. So what you might see on a piece of paper or a program, instead of 1 bench press, 2 bent row, you see 1A bench press, 1B bent row. This is an antagonist superset. It's an antagonist superset because you are using opposing movement patterns in opposite muscle groups. Push, pull, bench, row. Very, very simple, and it's actually a beneficial one. There's other times where supersets aren't as beneficial, and we'll get to that in a sec. One of those periods of times, though, is a giant set, and this is the second classification I want to teach you about. A giant set is when we choose 1 muscle group, and we choose 3 to 5 exercises in that muscle group to basically demolish the muscle. There are times and places where we should do this, and they can be fun because you get a nasty pump and it feels really good in the gym. But the reality is that it significantly lowers the amount of volume and strength you can produce, therefore leading to less results over time. We have to consider a stimulus to fatigue ratio with these things. They are highly stimulative, but they're also highly fatiguing. So we can't recover as easily from it and then do more volume afterwards. Whereas breaking them up still creates a good amount of stimulus, but far less fatigue, so we can recover faster and get back to work the next day or the next day. A good example of a chest giant set would be doing a barbell bench press, followed by a cable fly, followed by a dumbbell floor press, followed by a push-up. You could also do a dumbbell bench press, followed by a dumbbell fly, followed by a cable press, followed by a cable fly. The point is every single time you are doing a chest-based movement and you are making it easier as you go. So your load or the type of movement is getting easier or lighter as you go along, making you more and more capable to do these movements as your fatigue increases. So now that you know what a superset is and what a giant set is, why would you do it? The main reason to do supersets is actually to just save time. Giant sets were once believed to be a great way for hypertrophy to accumulate and get bigger. The problem with it is like I said before, your recovery diminishes and your ability to return to training and do more volume diminishes with that. It was once thought that this was a great way to do it because you brought so much blood flow, metabolites, lactic acid, and just tension to the muscle in a small amount of time that we thought that was the key to growth. But the reality is we can get more growth and more hypertrophy, and probably safer hypertrophy, if we slow down, spread that out, and just get more total volume over the course of a day, week, and even month, because we're thinking long-term here. So generally, we do supersets just to save time. This would be taking a bench press and a bent row, or a curl and a tricep extension, a leg curl and a leg extension, anything that we can pair up without lowering performance of the previous movement, and we can pair them together so we can speed through the workout a little bit faster and get in and out of the gym at a better time. So when should you not do a superset? Most of the time you shouldn't do a superset if it is a heavy compound lift that does not have an antagonist that will not negatively impact the other lift. A good example of this is a barbell squat. You really shouldn't pair a barbell squat with anything or superset it with anything unless it is an upper body movement and you're in a full body strength circuit. But even then, you're rushing the pace, your oxidative and aerobic system is working a little bit harder, and it's gonna be harder to recover and get back to a heavy squat by the time that set's over, which leads to less performance, lower intensity, and lower volume. That's worse for your results, plain and simple. So the best thing to do here is to leave it as a standalone set. Do your 3 sets of 8 on the barbell squat, and when you are done with that and you perform at your best, move on to the next movement pattern and do that alone as well. A time where this may change is when we have antagonist supersets that actually benefit the opposing movement. An example of this is the bench press and the barbell row, like I mentioned earlier. The bench press and the barbell row are completely opposite movement patterns, and doing a row after a bench might actually improve the bench press according to some research and a lot of experience. Another example is a curl and a tricep extension. We are working our biceps and our triceps, and we are flexing our elbow, and then we are extending our elbow. The point of this is to bring massive blood flow to the arms and limbs in general, and doing tricep extensions doesn't harm your ability to do bicep curls. Last but not least, another exercise combo would be the leg extension and the lying leg curl. Once again, you are doing basically the same thing with your knees that you were doing with your elbows on the curl and tricep extension, and you're not going to negatively impact your leg extension set by doing leg curls afterwards. If anything, it actually prevents you from lowering intensity because you're kind of letting the muscle recover by bringing blood to the opposite side of the movement pattern. But at the end of the day, the only times you should really be doing supersets and actually see results from it are if you're in a fat loss phase and you are not prioritizing getting bigger, building muscle, or getting stronger because you don't care about the load on the bar and you're trying to keep the pace up, or when you're running out of time and you need to just get as much volume as you can in. Otherwise, keep it to antagonist supersets, usually with your accessory and isolation moves, and keep your compounds to themselves. So there you have it. Supersets are useful, but only in specific situations. We recommend antagonist supersets, and we program them quite a bit. We even program some full body supersets, like a lunge with a dumbbell press, when it is called for. The reality of all training program design is that it's an art, and it all depends on you, the individual. So there's many times where supersets are great, and there's many times where they're not, and there's many times where it doesn't really matter and you're gonna get results regardless. We're kind of getting into the weeds here, but I wanted to share some information, what we have found in our experience and the research on supersets to make sure that you understand when they're applicable and you know that they're not some magic trick to enhance results. They're just a way of organizing your training to save some time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you do us a huge favor, like the video, comment if you have any other questions, and go check out our other content at tailoredcoachingmethod.com.